It's almost along the lines of they're too good for Scotland but not quite good enough for Europe. So where do they fit in between?
It's early March and Celtic are at the top of the Scottish Premier League. Domestically, they're unbeaten this season, dropping only 2 points in the league so far. It may never happen, but it begs the age-old question: could Celtic win the Premier League?
I think if you put them in the Premier League right now, I would maybe expect them to be mid-table to even the bottom half of the table.
Within 3 or 4 seasons, it'd be a top 6 club challenging for Europe.
Celtic's chief executive Peter Rowe made a very compelling case recently for arguing that Celtic could actually, in his opinion, be the biggest club in the Premiership.
Now, I asked Sir Alex Ferguson about 5 years ago how he felt Celtic and Rangers would do if they got into the top league in England, and his answer was within 5 years they'd be knocking on the door of the top 4 and quite possibly winning the championship.
In terms of TV money, in Scotland Celtic get 2.5 million. If they were to go to England they would get as much as 75 to 90 million. It's such a big difference.
Everyone knows the money that's available south of the border enables you to kick on as a team. It enables you to sign players that at the minute would be out of your league.
They've got the stadium, they've got the supporters, they've got the brand globally, but they don't quite have the players, and it's the final part of the jigsaw. If they had the players they would be competing at the very top. Players would of course want to come here. It's something different for them. Glasgow's a great city as well. The location, it's easy to sell somewhere like this.
Well, the history of the club, and I think, well, if I was a footballer I'd much rather be living in Glasgow than Hull.
Glasgow's a great place to come to, and Celtic have done it before. They've brought big players here before, so they've got a good track record of that.
Celtic say, look, if you perform well for us here, you will attract attention down the road, and you will get another move out of this that will be what you would probably want to do in your career.
I don't think there's any question. It's a very attractive platform to play. It's a 60,000 seater venue. They attract the good crowds. It has a good atmosphere. And I think there's a huge backstory. I still think Celtic would be one of the iconic names in European football.
Most clubs don't have the allure and the attraction and the fervour that Celtic have.
Celtic do have the ability to handle big games, and big games against English teams. You've seen that this season with Manchester City in the Champions League.
Celtic in the first game, remember, led Manchester City 3 times in that game.
It was a game they should have won rather than drawn. And even down in the Etihad, I think a draw was probably a reflection of their result.
Celtic on their day at Celtic Park in front of a full house can beat anybody.
Could they do that week in, week out? That's another question. You look at the Champions League this season, you're up 1 minute, 3 each with Man City, and then you're losing 7-0 to Barcelona. Big stars for big teams have praised Celtic Park, the atmosphere, the experience, and it's special on a Champions League night, on a big game day when you've got a sold out 60,000 crowd at Celtic Park. The atmosphere is incredible, it's intimidating.
People want to play there on a big European night. Lionel Messi said it was one of the greatest arenas he'd ever played in.
And I think that certainly on our day would allow Celtic to perhaps punch above their weight.
But does this domestic dominance get boring? Do they need to be in England to revitalise the fans?
Regardless of who they're playing against or where they're playing, Celtic fans turn up to see Celtic win.
My dad will go to games and he'll just be happy to watch a boring 2-0 win, because as long as his team wins the game, that's the be-all and end-all. He pays his money for that.
If you're a Celtic fan and your team's winning, I don't think anyone gets bored of that. Especially if you're of a certain vintage and you can remember when Celtic went through their whole barren spell and they watched Rangers win 9 titles in a row.
It's just as competitive as the Bundesliga or the Premier League or La Liga. You'll always get teams that will dominate.
What do you reckon? Leave a comment below with how you think Celtic would do in England.